Welcome students in the part 1 of this chapter in which we will discuss about the fundamental of heat transfer. That means in this lecture we will find the answer of some basic questions related to subject that where heat is transferred, how heat is transferred and why it is important to learn. The content covered in this chapter is as following: introduction of heat transfer, modes of heat transfer, application areas of heat transfer, laws of heat transfer, thermal conductivity and effect of temperature on thermal conductivity. The first opinion about the term heat was given by Aristotle. The energy in transition is termed as heat, or heat is defined as energy transferred by virtue of a temperature gradient or difference. While teaching heat transfer, students usually ask the question, "Sir, is there any difference between heat and temperature?" Another common question asks, "What is the difference between the subject heat transfer and thermodynamics?" So let me begin this chapter by trying to explain answer of this question. So first, we understand what is difference between heat and temperature. So many times we use the interchangeably term heat and temperature. Actually, there is a little difference between them. Temperature is a measure of the amount of energy possessed by the molecules of the substance. It manifests itself as a degree of hotness and can be used to predict the direction of heat transfer. Temperature is denoted by capital T, and the scales for measuring temperature in SI units are the Celsius and Kelvin temperature scales. On the other hand, heat is energy in transit. It flows from a hotter body to a colder one. It is denoted by capital Q in the SI system. General units for measuring heat are joule and calories. So next question is, what do you mean by heat transfer? The science that deals with the determination of the rates of such energy transfer. Or we can say that the transmission of energy from one region to another region as a result of temperature difference between the fluids and substance. Now move forward to answer of our next question, what is the difference between heat transfer and thermodynamics? A thermodynamic, it helps to determine the quantity of heat and work, while the heat transfer, it helps to determine the rate of heat transfer and the temperature distribution across the surface of interest. Let me discuss in detail. Thermodynamics tells us about how much heat is transferred and how much work is done to change a system from one equilibrium state to another. But it cannot tell the duration for which heat has to flow to change that state of equilibrium. Take one example, if 1 kg of iron bar is quenched from 1100 degrees centigrade to 200 degrees centigrade in the oil bath. The thermodynamic tells us that the loss of energy or heat of bar, that is mc delta T, that is equal to 1 into 0.45 into 900 Kelvin, that is equal to 405 kilojoule. But thermodynamics cannot tell us about the time required for the temperature to drop to 200 degrees centigrade. The time depends on various factors such as the temperature of oil bath, physical properties of the oil and motion of the oil, etc. An appropriate heat transfer analysis considered all these factors. Thermodynamics tells us about only the final state of the system. It concerns with the equilibrium states of matter. On the other side, heat transfer tells us how means with what modes heat transfer, at what rate heat is transferred, the temperature distribution inside the body or one surface to another surface, It is non-equilibrium process. Now let's discuss application areas of heat transfer. The application of areas of heat transfer are as follows. In mechanical engineering, it is useful to design of thermal power plant, including the components, boilers, economizers, air preheater, reheater, heat exchanger and turbine. In automobile engineering, heat transfer is useful to design of IC engines, radiators and other components. In refrigeration and air conditioning system, it is useful to design of condenser and evaporator and also other heat exchanging equipments. In metallurgical engineering, it is useful to analyze furnaces and heat treatment of different components. In electrical engineering, heat transfer is useful to understand cooling system of electric motor, generators, transformers, etc. In chemical engineering, the heat transfer is useful to understand process equipments used in refineries and chemical plants. In nuclear engineering, in removal of heat generation by nuclear fission and design of nuclear fuel rods. In aerospace engineering, the heat transfer is useful in the design of aircraft and its components, especially thermal control of space vehicle. In defense, it is used for design of rockets, missiles, torpedoes, etc. In cryogenics engineering, heat transfer is used for storage, transportation and production of cryogenics fluids. In civil engineering, it is useful in the design of bridges, railway tracks, heavy structure, temperature controlled buildings and solar energy conversion for space heating. So in almost all branch of engineering, principles and methods of heat transfer are extensively applied. These are some images of real life example in which heat transfer is applicable, like transformer, design of automobile engine, refrigerator, heat sink in electric circuit for heat dissipation and protection of device. Fins or extended surfaces are used for dissipation of heat from electric motor. In thermal power plant and its component and in the design of air conditioning systems. Let's understand the concept of heat, rate and flux. We will refer to the thermal energy as heat and the transfer of thermal energy as a heat transfer. The amount of heat transfer during the process is denoted by Q. The amount of heat transfer per unit time is called as heat transfer rate and it is denoted by Q dot. The over dot stands per unit time. The heat transfer rate Q dot has the unit joule per second which is equivalent to watt. When the rate of heat transfer Q dot is available, then the total amount of heat transfer Q during a time interval delta T can be determined from the following equation. Integration 0 to delta T Q dt for the special case of Q dot is equal to constant, the equation above reduces to the Q is equal to Q dot delta T. Heat flux. It is defined as the rate of heat transfer per unit area normal to the direction of heat transfer. So, in mathematical form, heat flux Q double dash that is equal to Q divided by A, where A is the area. Take one example to understand the topic very well. A plate of 6 meter length and 2 meter width having a rate of heat transfer is 24 watt. Then what is the value of heat flux? So as per the equation, it is Q double dash is equal to Q by A and that is equal to 24 divided by 12 meter square that is equal to 2 watt per meter square. Here note that the heat flux may vary with the time as well as position on the surface. Now we are going to discuss the important topic of the subject, and that is modes of heat transfer or physical mechanism of heat transfer, the answer of our question how heat will be transferred. Heat transfer, which is defined as the transmission of energy from one region to another as a result of temperature gradient, take place by the following three modes. Number 1, conduction, number 2, convection, and number 3, radiation. Heat transmission in majority of real situations occurs as a result of combinations of these three modes of heat transfer. Example, water in boiler shell. Let's start with first conduction, and the conduction is defined as an energy transfer across a system boundary due to a temperature difference by the mechanism of intermolecular interactions. Conduction needs matter and does not require any bulk motion of matter. Or we can say the conduction is a transfer of heat from one part of substance to another part of same substance, or from one substance to another in physical contact with it without appreciable displacement of molecules forming the substance. It is micro form of heat transfer, and conduction takes place in solid, liquids and gas. In gases and liquids, conduction is due to the collision and diffusion of the molecules during the random motion. In solids, it is due to the combination of vibrations of the molecules in a lattice and the energy transport by free electrons. The example of heat conduction is heat transfer through the wall of buildings, through the wall of heat exchanger, in metal rods, in heat treatment of steel forging, etc. The basic law which is used for heat transfer by conduction is Fourier law. The second mode of heat transfer is convection, and it is defined as an energy transfer across a system boundary due to the temperature difference by the combined mechanism of intermolecular interactions and bulk transfer. Convection needs fluid matter. Another way to define the convection. The convection refers to the mode of heat transfer in which the heat is transferred by the moving fluid particles. The convection refers to the mode of heat transfer in which fluid particles acts as a heat carrier agent. The convection is the transfer of heat within a fluid by mixing of one portion of the fluid with another. It is macro form of heat transfer. There are two types of convection: free convection or natural convection and forced convection. Chilling effect of cold wind on a warm body, cooling of billets in atmosphere, cooling of electric wires, transformers in atmosphere, etc. are the example of free or natural convection. While the flow of water in a condenser tube, cooling of IC engine cylinder, etc. are the example of forced convection. Heat transfer processes that involve change of phase of fluid are also considered to be convection, like boiling and condensation. Basically, law which is used for heat transfer by convection is Newton's law of cooling. Last mode of heat transfer, that is radiation. The radiation heat transfer involves the transfer of heat by electromagnetic radiation that arises due to the temperature of the body. Radiation does not need matter. Let me discuss in detail. All bodies radiate heat. So a transfer of heat by radiation occurs because hot body emits more than it receives, and a cold body receives more heat than it emits. Radiant energy, being electromagnetic radiation, requires no medium for propagation and will pass through the vacuum. It is intermittent heat transfer process, or you can say that not continuous process. Solar energy incident on earth, leakage of heat from the wall of thermos flask are the example of radiation heat transfer. Kirchhoff law, Wien's displacement law, Stefan-Boltzmann law, Lambert's cosine law are the governing laws for radiation heat transfer. In spite of very similar properties of radiant heat to those of light, the wavelength of heat radiation is longer than that of light waves, so they are invisible to the eyes. Now our next step is to learn laws governing heat transfer, and first start with the Fourier's law of heat conduction. Consider heat conduction through a large plane wall of thickness delta x is equal to L and area capital A as shown in figure. The temperature difference across the wall is delta T, and that is equal to T2 minus T1. Experiments have shown that the rate of heat transfer through the wall is double when the temperature difference or normal area in the direction of heat transfer is double. But it is reduces by 50% when the delta x is double, so we can conclude that the rate of heat conduction through a plane layer is proportional to the temperature difference across the layer and the heat transfer area at right angle to the direction of heat flow, but it is inversely proportional to the thickness of the layer, which is known as Fourier's law of heat conduction. The French mathematician and physicist J.B.J. Fourier possessed the law in 1822. Mathematically, it can be expressed by the following equation. Rate of heat transfer proportional to the area multiplied by temperature difference divided by thickness of wall. So Q conduction is equal to Ka T1 minus T2 divided by delta x, and that is equal to minus Ka delta T by delta x, where the constant K of proportionality is the thermal conductivity of the material. In the limiting case of delta x tends to 0, the equation above reduces to the differential form. Q conduction is equal to minus Ka dt by dx. Here dt by dx is the temperature gradient, which is the slope of temperature curve on a Tx diagram at location x. The negative sign in equation is showing of decreasing in temperature along the thickness of the body in the direction. The temperature gradient is always negative in positive x direction, and so the values of Q becomes positive. The heat transfer area capital A is always normal to the direction of heat transfer. The thickness of the wall has no effect on area. The following are the assumptions on which Fourier's law is based. Number 1. The conduction heat take place under steady state conditions. Second, the heat flow is unidirectional. Third one, the temperature gradient is constant and the temperature profile is linear. Fourth one, there is no internal heat generation. Fifth one, the bonding surfaces are isothermal in character. Sixth one, the material is homogeneous and isentropic, means the values of thermal conductivity is constant in all directions. Our next topic is thermal conductivity. As we know that the property specific heat Cp is the measure of a material's ability to store thermal energy. Likewise, the thermal conductivity is the measure of a material's ability to conduct heat. It is denoted by K with the unit of watt per meter degree centigrade or watt per meter degree Kelvin. It is defined as from the Fourier's law of heat conduction, that is the rate of heat transfer through a thickness of a material per unit area per unit temperature difference. The thermal conductivity of some common materials at room temperature are given in the table. A high value for thermal conductivity indicates that the material is good heat conductor, and a low value indicates that the material is poor heat conductor or insulator. The materials such as copper and silver that are good heat conductors and have high value of thermal conductivity. Materials such as rubber and wood are poor conductors of heat and have very low conductivity values. The thermal conductivity depends upon the following factors. 1. Material structure. Number 2. Moisture content. Number 3. Density of the material. And number 4. Operating conditions like pressure and temperature. Let's discuss the effect of variation of thermal conductivity due to variation in temperature for metals, liquids, gas, refractories and building materials. The thermal conductivity of pure metals is due to free flow of electrons and lattice vibration. The thermal conductivity of pure metals decreases as the temperature increases because at high temperature the vibration of the molecules in the pure metals becomes increases and they obstruct the free flow electrons. And input of free electrons in heat conduction decreases so that the thermal conductivity decreases with increases in temperature. Uranium, mercury and aluminium being exceptions. In case of alloys, the thermal conductivity is less than pure metals, but same like thermal conductivity decreases as temperature increases. In liquid, heat conduction takes place due to the collision process of molecules because they are closely spaced and very strong intermolecular attraction force compared to gases. So, thermal conductivity lies between solids and gases. The thermal conductivity of most liquids decreases with increasing temperature, with water and glycerin being notable exceptions. Liquid metals such as mercury and sodium have high thermal conductivities and are very suitable for use in applications where a high heat transfer rate to a liquid is preferred, like in nuclear power plants. The thermal conductivity of all gases increases with increases in temperature because of at high temperature collision of gas molecules increase the heat transfer increases. The thermal conductivity of refractories and building materials, which are known as insulating materials, have very low thermal conductivity because many of such kind of materials have a porous structure with air or any gas as is a fluid trapped in, and air having very low thermal conductivity. At high temperature, the thermal conductivity of such gases increases, so thermal conductivity of such kind of material increases as the increases in temperature. The figure shows the range of thermal conductivities of various materials at room temperature. The gases like hydrogen, helium, air, carbon dioxide having very low thermal conductivity as compared to liquid. And the thermal conductivity of liquids is lower than alloys and pure metals. Non-metallic materials like diamond and graphite have highest thermal conductivity as compared to given all. So let's move back to our main topic, that is the laws of heat transfer, and now the next is the Newton's law of convection. The law states that the rate of convection heat transfer is observed to be proportional to the temperature difference. Mathematically, we can say Q convection is proportional to the surface area into temperature difference Ts minus Tf. Here Ts is the surface temperature and Tf is the temperature of fluid. So, if we are removing the proportionality sign, the equation can be expressed Q convection, that is equal to HA Ts minus Tf. The unit is watt, where H is the proportionality constant and known as convective heat transfer coefficient, film coefficient or surface conductance in watt per meter square degree centigrade or watt per meter square Kelvin. The convection heat transfer coefficient is not property of fluid. Its value can be determined by experimentally. Also, its value depends on surface and its geometry. Means whether the surface is smooth or rough, whether the geometry is plate, whether the geometry is cylinder or tube, and also place them vertically or horizontally. The heat transfer coefficient value also depends on the property of fluid like density, viscosity, specific heat and thermal conductivity. Also it depends on the type of fluid flow, whether it is laminar or turbulent and other thermal conditions. Typical values of heat transfer coefficient are tabulated here, shows for free convection, forced convection and for some processes like boiling and condensation. As is the surface area in meter square through which the convection heat transfer takes place. Here Ts is the surface temperature and T infinity or Tf is the temperature of the fluid. The last one is the law of radiation heat transfer. As I said earlier in this lecture, there are so many laws govern the radiation heat transfer, but the most important is Stefan-Boltzmann law, which states that the maximum rate of radiation that can be emitted from a surface at an absolute temperature Ts in Kelvin is given by Stefan-Boltzmann law as Q emits, and that is equal to sigma as surface temperature into Ts raised to 4 watt, where sigma is equal to 5.67 into 10 raised to minus 8 watt per meter square Kelvin raised to 4 is Stefan-Boltzmann constant. The idealized surfaces that emits radiation at this maximum rate is called black body, and the radiation emitted by black body is called black body radiation. The radiation emitted by all real surfaces is less than the radiation emitted by a black body at the same temperature and is expressed as Q emit is equal to epsilon sigma as Ts raised to 4 watt, where the epsilon is the emissivity of the surface. Emissivity is the property and its value is in the range of 0 to 1, which is measure of how closely a surface approximates a black body whose emissivity is 1. Also, a black body absorbs the entire radiation incident on it, so that a black body is a perfect absorber as it is a perfect emitter. Also, we will more discuss about the black body in our next lecture of radiation heat transfer in detail. So it's end of part 1 and we will meet in part 2 of chapter number 1 and we will learn about heat conduction equations in Cartesian, cylindrical and spherical coordinate system. Thanks for watching, keep learning and wish you good luck to all.